exciting.
Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. Yes, we are live, which means I have to pay attention to the comments as they come in. Wow, it has been a crazy whirlwind ride the last couple of weeks. Yesterday, you guys saw my Oompa Loompa camera issues, and today we had some camera issues too, but thanks to Brian at my company at Future Home Loans, he hooked me up and got us ready. But I'm excited to have my friend, a dear friend. He does so much in the community. He's always supportive, always positive. He gives back a ton, and he's going to come on and talk about that because I love the title of this show, a CPA firm that cares and is involved in the community. I know it's more than that, but that's my thing. Welcome, Steve Bell. How you doing, buddy?
Great, Ted. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited about the title. I think that was pretty cool. So
it was so good because honestly, it's funny how people come up with titles, and I'm like, I wonder what he's going to do. A lot of people pull their favorite quote, but I love how you describe it because in my mind, when I read it, I go, that's the perfect title. So, but before we dive into the CPA firm and all of the great things that you do and talk a little bit about our real estate community, I told you before we went live that the audience loves an origin story. So tell them a little 411 on Steve, maybe how you got from point A to now where you're at.
Awesome. Thanks, Ted. Well, we won't go too far back, but I have a degree in theology, religious studies, or actually biblical studies that I got. And my first career actually out of college was working in the restaurant food service industry in restaurant management. So yeah, that doesn't really match with
I was going to say, so what was the impetus behind, because I love a story. I love to know origins. So why theology? Did you want to teach at a Christian school, a Christian college? Did you want to become a pastor? What was the reasoning behind it?
Well, I grew up in the church, and my faith has always been important to me. My parents were Christians, and I initially really thought I was going to be a pastor. That was kind of my goal, but I went to school, and this may not be, I wouldn't recommend this, kids. I went to school and took what I enjoyed learning the most about, and that was theology, the Bible. I wanted to learn more. And so definitely I didn't get the ROI on that as from a monetary standpoint, but I wouldn't take it back in a million years. It was really good. So from there, after several years working in food service and restaurant industry, I was in my late 30s, and my brother, Matt Bell, who's a CPA, started his own firm. He left the firm he's with, and a few months later, he's like, hey, would you be interested in coming and working with me? I had been already thinking about it, thinking, hey, I can go work for him. And so we put it together, and I started working for him. And initially, I was just doing basic stuff, going to the post office for him, doing, busy work, things that he didn't have time to do so he could make money to be able to pay my salary. And then, I learned to do tax returns over the years, kind of expanded into what I'm doing now. But and we kind of grew through that process.
It's interesting. So somebody who's got, to me, theology has that more of a right brain, even though there's obviously some methodical parts to it. So to go into the tax world, was that taxing? Sorry, I've been holding on to that one. What was that like? Because I think a lot of people, they have a passion, they have a desire to do something, but they had a degree that was different. Did you have both sides of the brain? Is that sort of how you function? Or as you guys progressed, did you create a role that you're in now? Because when I think of you as community leader, super involved advocate. I forget that you work at HBITax.com. I'm going to throw that out there. So what was that like? Was it hard to be sort of right brained and then go to left brain, or whichever brain it is?
Interesting, because I always liked math, and I did good. I did well in math in school generally. I took an accounting class in high school, and I enjoyed that kind of stuff. I enjoyed that, and when I get into tax with him and started doing tax returns, it was good. It was fine, but like you kind of alluded to it, I kind of developed my own role. Once we had more people doing tax returns, I took more on the front end and just talking to new prospects to clients, that was really where I felt the most comfortable, even though I am actually somewhat of an introvert and not, I was very shy growing up, but it's something that's kind of developed over time. So, but yeah, I kind of developed that role where I just started connecting with people, even in the food service, restaurant industry, retail. I was always good talking to people, talking to our staff, to customers. I was always really good with that.
Your people, it's interesting. You say you're an introvert, and I think there are a lot of introverts out there. But I would guess that people who are watching are saying an introvert. That is the last thing I would use to describe Steve Bell, because you're out and about. So let's talk about that. A CPA firm that cares about and supports its community. That's what I think of when I think of you. I think of you sponsoring things, attending things, giving back, giving advice, working with people. We did a panel together. It was a 4 national panel. Right. And what I loved about your answers were they were succinct in what the process was, but you could tell that there was such a big people part of that you cared about the information that you were disseminating. You cared about the groups that you were presenting at. So how did you take a tax person like your brother, and how did you convince him, or how did it develop for you to be so active and so out there in the community? Because I imagine that's not something you start with.
No, I mean, I didn't start with that. I think we as a company, HBI, used to do some events. We would do events occasionally. We were involved in the Florida Vacation Rental Management Association. So, in my first taste of that was going to an event that they put on and just getting to know a little bit about that. And then, so from that point on, I started going to some different events, some different networking events, was invited to join NAHREP or to get involved with that. And that's a whole nother story. But we as a firm really like to educate, and we're really a market leader when it comes to the vacation home rental industry for 4 nationals, in that we would educate title companies, property management companies, foreign investors, and really how to do their business, because foreign investors have special rules and regulations, things that go along with that. So and nobody really specifically did that. So the firm, we were doing that. Now, when I came into the role, I just kind of took that a little bit further and started just doing more things, getting more involved, we would teach classes. We have a FERPTA team that teaches classes, and they're phenomenal. I don't know nearly as much about it as they do, but they're phenomenal.
So talk about you. It's interesting for a CPA firm to be as active in the real estate world. I feel like that is such a big deal, because what it's done from my perspective is, okay, you decided, all right, I can work with realtors, but you've really made that top priority. At least that's what it feels like. You are enmeshed in our real estate community. Like I said earlier, you do so much with it and for it. Was real estate kind of something you stumbled into? Because you could have gone to any niche. You could have been anywhere. You could have been in hospitality because you have a background in that.
Right.
Why real estate?
Well, one is that I think, deal with a lot of property related things, and that's kind of our niche as a firm, has been a big part and niche for our firm. So working with real estate agents is just a big part of our business. But I also felt like the real estate community was more welcoming than, say, and not a slight against the vacation home management industry, because they're very good and they're an important source of our referrals as a firm. But I felt like the real estate community was really welcoming, especially getting involved with NAHREP. I met so many people there that just kind of really, it's kind of snowballed. And I met some great people. You know, our friend Rose Kemp, she's phenomenal, great connector. Veronica Figueroa, others, that just connecting with people, it felt very welcoming. Even though NAHREP's a Hispanic organization, generally they accepted this gringo, and so it kind of snowballed. And I would even say it's low hanging fruit, and not in a bad way, just because I think that they're really welcoming, and it's a vibrant community. It's exciting. And so I think it meshes with my personality as well.
I agree. But you put your money where your mouth is, though. You sponsor a lot of things. Right. when we did our foreign national, for example. And let's talk a little bit about your business. So your business model, you deal with, this is a big topic, and I'll give you my 2 cents on this. The market shifted, obviously, which we can talk a little bit about.
Right.
But I feel like people really are still wanting to buy in Central Florida. And a lot of those are what we call foreign nationals, or I'm sure there's some new term for it that I don't know. But basically people coming from other countries that want to buy properties here. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think there's a lot of realtors who didn't go to our event. I don't know why, didn't go to our panel, that might want to know a little bit about that, how that process works and how you're involved, especially your involvement.
Sure. Well, for national investing, it goes a bit cyclical in the sense that for a while there was a ton of British investors with various factors that kind of slowed down. But depending on what's going on in the different countries around the world, they will want to get their money out and bring it here to the U.S. because although we're not a perfect place, we really are more stable and have a more stable environment than really anywhere in the world. So, for example, right now, South America is hot because there's a need to get money out of their country, or they're concerned with that. So we as a company, what we do, if they're buying rental properties and they're going to need tax filings, they're going to have special needs when they sell FERPTA. So what we do as a firm, we specialize in those kind of needs and working with them, guiding them through the process. And it's not just doing their taxes. We like to be a resource for them. We like to educate them. And I look at it this way, Ted, for a real estate agent to be involved in this, the foreign national buyers, they are super loyal. They don't know anybody else in the country. So if you treat them well, they're going to refer you to their friends more so than they will here. We send letters to people and they hold on to them for years. It's amazing, but they're very, very loyal because they don't know anyone. So once you become trusted with them, they're going to stick with you and they're going to refer their friends to you. So we think it's a great market to be a part of because people are continuing to buy. We live in the greatest place in the country, Orlando, with Disney. Essentially recession proof. We may feel some, but it's just a really great place to be, to invest, to be in real estate. I can't talk enough about it. It's really a great place. And we just kind of capitalize on that part of it just because we have the expertise in the foreign national stuff. And there's other great companies that do what we do, but we've been doing it for over 20 plus years. And
there's other companies that do what you do?
Well,
I don't know any of them.
Not what I do, but they do some of the same tax work.
I don't know a single one, Steve. We're just going to do HPI tax. We're good. We're good. Talk a little bit about realtors too, because I did have some people ask me. Realtors are self-employed.
Yes.
But I think a lot of them don't understand how important it is to work with a CPA firm. I'm really trying to give you a plug because I think what you do is amazing, but also because I think a lot of realtors are not either getting the benefits they have, paying too much tax. They're not writing things off the way they can. And we're all sort of afraid of all things taxes at this point in time. Give them some pointers. What are some of the things that they should be doing? Should they just be filing their taxes as whatever and just going with the flow? I mean, I feel like they are missing out on so many opportunities to write things off and be a true independent contractor.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's definitely some things they can do. One is once you get to a certain level of, income, you want to make sure that you're incorporated because you're going to save yourself a ton of money on self-employment tax. And, that self-employment tax, you're really, when you're a sole proprietor, you're running your own business, essentially what's happening is that you're paying both ends of the tax. Whereas if you're working for someone, the company's paying part of that tax, but if you're self-employed, you're paying all of that. So being incorporated will help with that. There's a couple of things they can do. Another thing they can do as well, make sure they're tracking their mileage so that they're getting the full benefit to deduct that. And mileage is a big thing. Home office deduction, as long as they're using that part of the home just for business, they can deduct all kinds of things for that. So those are some big tips for them.
I love it. All right. So before we head out, I have one last question, and then I want you to share the best way they can find you.
Okay.
When I say it totally, completely off topic of anything real estate, I love to ask a personal question.
Sure.
It won't be too personal.
Okay.
When I say the word hero, who's the first person that comes to mind?
My father.
Tell me why.
Because he went through, difficult things, married to my mom for 60 years so far. Not that made him a hero because he married to my mom, because she's a saint.
Yeah, mom, no, that's not what he meant.
But he's just, he was versatile. He did many different types, was involved in many different types of industries over the years. He was an entrepreneur like my brother and I are, and just I think the steadiness of him. And was he a perfect man? No. Is he a perfect man? No. But he was always there for me, and just always, if I needed something, even now, he's there for me. So, and I'm blessed to have him.
I love that. That's a great answer. All right, Steve Bell, what's the best way they can find out more about HBI Tax, reach you? How can they get more information about the wonderful things that you're doing?
Thanks, Ted. They can reach us at www.hbitax.com. You can also call us at 863-968-1010. And my personal email address is steve.bell@hbitax.com. And also on Facebook, YouTube, started to do some crazy YouTube videos as well. So I don't know what the domain on that is yet, but you can catch us there.
I love it. All right, man. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I think you are one of the good guys in our world, and it's so wonderful when I see you at events. I know you're behind the scenes supporting so many people, and I appreciate you and everything that your firm does. All right, Steve Bell. Look, if you are looking for a tax person, a tax group, a tax company, I'll do the plug. You definitely want to reach out to Steve. He is enmeshed in our world, and he can be enmeshed in yours too, which could make a huge difference for you. Brother, appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for all the love. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.